Throughout all 5 books, Daenerys has flashbacks and dreams about a house with a red door. This house, located in Braavos, was one of the temporary childhood abodes of Dany and her brother Viserys. Despite spending a substantial amount of her early life there, all she can recall is the color of its door and the lemon trees directly outside her window. When it comes to canon material, that's about all we get. Before I jump right into the theory, I want to provide some background to show watchers who may not understand this house and its role in the narrative. After Robert took the throne from the Mad King Aerys, who was Dany's father, at the tail end of Robert's rebellion, he decreed that all remaining Targaryens should be slaughtered. Dany and her brother, infant and child respectively, were currently hiding out at Dragonstone under protection of Willem Darry, the Mad King Aerys' master-at-arms and a fervent Targaryen loyalist. Hearing the news, Darry smuggled Dany and Viserys across the Narrow Sea, keeping them safe by moving them from city to city, keeping them one step ahead of King Robert's assassins at all times. The one place where they were able to find elongated safety and comfort was at the house with the red door in Braavos. However, once Darry died, Dany and her brother were left unprotected and were forced to flee once again. Eventually, they were taken in by Magister Illyrio and Pentos. Dany was betrothed to Khal Drogo, and we know the story from there. Now, this may seem like a conclusive story, one that doesn't need much thought or analysis. However, if you've learned anything from this channel, it's that nothing in George R. R. Martin's writing is as simple as it seems. George has crafted a clever puzzle filled with red flags, one that keen readers and watchers such as myself were able to put together. I, along with many other theorists, believe that the house with the red door is not in Braavos. In fact, it's not across the Narrow Sea at all. This house is none other than the palace in the Water Gardens of Dorne. The man who took them in was none other than Doran Martell. First of all, it's made abundantly clear that Dany was extremely young during her stay at the house with the red door. Too young to remember anything but the door color and the lemon trees outside her window. Here lies the first piece of the puzzle that George has laid out for us. Braavos is a canal city inspired by real-world Venice. The nature of the city makes it incapable of supporting large plants such as trees. How was it that Dany remembered a lemon tree growing in a city comprised of elevated platforms floating in a lagoon? Dorne, the southernmost of the 7 kingdoms that comprise Westeros, is primarily desert. However, on the eastern coast of the kingdom lies a tropical oasis known as the Water Gardens. The palace courtyard is described as being filled with citrus trees, overripe with oranges, grapefruits, and you guessed it, lemons. Although the ruling family of Dorne, House Martell, has its seat in a city named Sunspear, the family patriarch Prince Doran prefers to spend most of his time in the Water Gardens due to his failing health. Now you may ask why Doran Martell would want to take in Dany and her brother in the first place. After all, he would surely be executed or sent to the wall if found to be harboring them. In the show, unless we get a big info dump in Season 8, there really isn't a reason. But then again, I can't recall a time the show mentions the house with the red door anyway. However, in the books, there is clear motivation in place. Although dead in the show, Prince Doran is alive and busy in the novels. In Book 4, A Feast for Crows, through the perspective of his daughter Arianne, a character that wasn't in the show, we learn of Doran's master plan. If you remember Oberyn, the reason he came to King's Landing in Season 4 and Book 3 was to get revenge for his murdered sister Elia. She was the wife of Prince Rhaegar, Dany's older brother that died before the events of the show. She was brutally raped and murdered by the Mountain under Lannister orders during Robert's sack of King's Landing. Doran, although equally mournful for his sister, was not the kind of person to resort to violence. Rather, he crafted an intricate long game, one that would slowly destroy the Lannisters over the course of decades. Essentially, after the Targaryen children were forced into exile, Doran arranged a secret marriage pact. His daughter Arianne was to marry Viserys, making her Queen of Westeros if Viserys was to win back the Iron Throne. After Viserys' unplanned crowning at the hands of Khal Drogo, Doran sent his oldest son Quentyn Martell, another character left out of the show, to marry Daenerys instead. This plan goes awry, but Doran has an even further backup, which I'm not going to get into today as it involves even more book-exclusive content. As you could see, Doran would have had every incentive to keep the Targaryen children safe. After all, they were the key to his own children gaining political power, and in turn, him gaining his revenge against the Lannisters. It makes perfect logical sense that he would be the one to harbor Dany and Viserys for a substantial period of time. This even could have been when the marriage pact itself was crafted, with Willem Darry as the representative of the children. As for the reason why Dany and her brother were forced to leave and flee across the Narrow Sea, it could have very well been that King Robert sent his spies to Dorne, and Doran needed them out of there for their safety as well as his own safety. Now I know this was a lot of information to parse in such a short amount of time, but show watchers don't fret, it seems most of this plot wasn't used in the show. However, if the area and preview chapter from the upcoming book was any indication, it doesn't seem to be dwindling anytime soon in the novels. If you'd like to learn more about Doran Martell and his potential motivations, I highly recommend you check out The Order of the Green Hand. They're doing a fantastic long-form series on the character right now. If you have any specific questions that you'd like me to answer, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Who knows, maybe your question will be turned into a full video. As for this video, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and remember, the Professor of Thrones is here to teach you.